Jesu everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Hungam Yoga Global Online Forum. My name again is Abhinav, and I'm joining you from Sydney. Once again, super excited to bring to you another week from the Vihangam Yoga community to all you lovely listeners. Over the last 3 weeks, this week included, we've been going through a journey with Sant Shri Naamdeo Maharaj. Sant Shri Naamdeo Maharaj, as we introduced a few weeks ago, is the international head of Vihangam Yoga and one of the deepest thinkers of modern times. And there's no better topic to discuss with a deep thinker and a yogi than life and death. Two things which we often think about, but perhaps don't have a clear understanding of. Last week, Sant Shri took us toward the second part of our conversation, in which he talked about how we should treat this life as a laboratory and this body and this opportunity we've been given as the opportunity to experiment. He talked about how we all have different perceptions and different perspectives, but often, it's so important for us to understand that those things are subjective, and the truth and the things we experience, they are not subjective, they are objective, they are true, they are real, they are things that we see, feel, hear, experience. So he talked very deeply about the importance of treating this life as a laboratory. And if you haven't had the chance to listen to that part of our conversation, I do encourage you to go 1 week back when you have the opportunity and to check that out. This week we move toward the second concept which we wanted to seek Sant Shri Naamdeo Maharaj's perspective and guidance on, which is death. The word death evokes so many different emotions in us. The first time that you would have understood death, most likely you were gripped with immense sadness, because it means that you can no longer interact with someone who you care about, or that connection you have with someone or something has ended. Death is discussed in detail in the philosophy and practice of spirituality. And as a consequence, when one tries to understand death and its true nature, often they end up in the depths of spiritual philosophy and practice. There is no better person to unfold and unwind that wisdom than Sant Shri Naamdeo Maharaj. And for that reason, we're very lucky that this week we had the opportunity to ask him a few questions about death itself. So without further ado, I'd like to now switch to that conversation, which is the last part, which is the last part in this 3-part series with Sant Shri on life and death. And I encourage you all, as you're listening, to just take it in. Just close your eyes and take in his wisdom, because some of these words I found have completely transformed the way in which I look at death and at life as well. So with that, I'd like to now switch over to this conversation, and I hope you all enjoy it and receive and find something in his words. Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. And I kind of wanted to, at this stage, ask about the other spectrum of life, now that we've kind of, dove quite deep into how we should think about life. What about the other end of life, the end of the spectrum, which is death? What should our perspective toward death be? Because I know, I've spoken to a number of people, myself included. When I think about death, and when I consider that the people who perhaps who have guided me in my life, who have been there for me, that there's going to be a day when that ends, that life and death are related to each other in a way. It makes me quite sad, and it makes all of us quite sad. And I guess, Namdevji, a question which we all have is, what should our perspective toward death be? Is there anything but sadness when we look at death?
Thank you so much for asking this question, because this question will unravel everything right now. And that is, the darkness that we reside within is actually a death. And that death is happening at all times, my dear friend. It is happening right now within myself, within yourself, within everyone who's listening to me right now. Isn't it? So death is not just the decay of the body and the body has been put to silence. Absolutely not. What about this death? So don't think about death. It will come, or that's the decay of the body. That's not the matter of concern. The matter of concern here is, if you personally ask me, if we are operating from a very low vibration at each point in our lives, that is the death at all times. Death is happening right now because you are not coming up to your potential. We are not coming to our highest potential. That is the death of our creativity. That is the death of what we are capable of. That is the death of the blessing which has been bestowed upon us. What about that, my dear friends? So for my perspective, if you ask me personally, I think operating from a very narrow vision, contracted vision of life, which is totally embroiled into the senses and pleasure of senses, is actually death, big time death, which happens at all times. What about that death? Who answers this question? So for personally, I feel the contraction, the limited, contracted, disillusionary, limiting, binding, time-bound happenstances, which are so much attached with the senses and the conditioning and the perception and perspective, operating from that level. And why I'm saying operating from that level? Because what will happen? The result of that is jealousy. A result of that is anger, because both are friends. If you are jealous, you will have anger for sure. Both are best of best friends. You have lust. You have subjugating people's life. You are a power freak person. You want to feel happiness at the misery end of other person. You are abusive. You want to be the ruler of the world. You want to kill other people potential. You create so much drama around it. You are a victim. What about those deaths which keeps happening every now and then? It happens within the kitchen. It happens within the boardroom. It happens within the dining room, which happens in a pub, in a club, everywhere. What about those deaths? For me, death of the body is not a death. That's just a body has just the reason why I don't want to give a lot of emphasis on death is the fact that you don't turn into an angel by dying. If you are, sorry to say, if I'm a holy shit, then I'm holy shit. If I'm a heap of shit, then I'm shit in my next generation as well. Okay, that is it. And I will carry my nonsense in my next body as well. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but at times I cannot be sugar tongued. I cannot just sugarcoat my words. I'm sorry. I won't like it. But if I'm really shit, man, then I am shit in my next life as well. Accordingly, I will take birth into that specific family where there will be shitty people around me, and my energy will align with those shitty people. Sorry to say all these words, but there's no better word to describe it. So for me, if you talk about death, what about these kind of characteristics, these kind of inhuman traits, which we carry throughout day in, day out, which are also like death? death of our own potential, death what our soul is capable of, death to our higher dimension of life, death beyond the perception. What about that? So by just dying, by just by mere death, you don't turn into an angel. You should not be worshipped. I'm sorry. And I'm totally against putting people like we have that we shall not place pictures of a dead man in our homes, in the office. I don't like it, because it's not good. No one turned to a god by being a jerk in this life, being a slave of the senses. You don't turn into a god by mere death. Absolutely not. You carry the same traits into your next life and carry forward with the same nonsense. Okay? So death is nonsense concept. But that's not the point. Now you have got good news. The good news is your body can feel the pain. Okay? Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. You have to feel good about this body. You have to feel good about we have to feel good about the emotions and the feelings and all the trauma that you have to go through. That's why I keep telling you, this life is beautiful. This human body is the most blessed body in entire beings. This human body is the most blessed body, because you have the opportunity to undo everything what you have done in the past, what you have done in your previous life. A dog does not have an option, my dear friend. A tiger does not have an option. A hippo does not have an option. A cow does not have an option. But you, as a human body, as a human being, has got a marvelous opportunity right now. We as human beings are blessed with human body, because you can feel all the pain. You can dissolve all the matters in this life through this body. Congratulations. Please look at this life as it is. And life thrives within. And just, be ready to dissolve all the matter. Kill all the deaths before the deaths kill you. What better way I can put it? Kill all the deaths before the final death of the body comes to you. So this is how I think it should be seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I'm speechless. And yeah, like that really struck me, the way you explained that, Namdevji. And yeah, like I definitely can see just, how important it is to focus instead perhaps on this idea of a laboratory, that there's something going on all the time, and what are we dead to? What are we ignoring? And what is it? How do we become alive? How do we, see those things that are killing us as the way we are inside, and how do we kill them before, as you said, they kill us and our time runs out? And it,
True.
yeah, and it brings me to another question, which is, in this modern society, in this modern life, as you've also touched on, we have a definition, we have a perception that a life well led is something, where a life well led might be that you study hard, you work hard, you start $1 billion company, you become, you're all over the newspaper, and then eventually when time comes, you leave. And that is when people look at these people and they say, that is a well-lived life. I hope I can be like that. In by looking at that and in considering that, is there a way in which we can understand or define what a well-led life is? Is it about, just as simply as you put it, is it just about killing all these things inside of us? Or is it also about being materially successful? Is there a balance between the two? If we are in this body and we live in this world, then should we be pursuing worldly pleasure and success as well? or should we just focus on killing these things inside of us, all these, insects or bugs or, errors inside of us? Is a more proper way of putting it, I would say. Uh, is that the focus, or should we balance both things?
Well, it is all about untying the knots, untying the knots, untying the knots. That's all you have to do, okay? And focus nowhere, just focus nowhere, apart from untying the knots and attuning your energies to a higher perspective. Everything will fall in place, everything will just fall in place. You will have more success. I think materialistic success is very, very, very significant. I don't know why there are some theories which put down this aspect, and it cannot be put down as something not good for self growth. Absolutely not. I think it has got nothing to do with self growth. I think the contrary. No, I do feel that if you are spiritual, you cannot be poor. Tell me any institution of religion or faith which is poor. Tell me. Is Vatican poor? Is Makkah Medina poor? Is any institution of any faith of any religion is poor? Any god is poor? You won't find any. So please, we cannot just discredit the value of spiritual upliftment and our own evolution and our own enlightenment by coming up with kind of restricted, destructive theory of, theory of poverty. It doesn't work like that. I think the more spiritual you are, the more possibility that we have for all kind of developments in your life. So I would rather say that you shall have abundance of wealth, and we all shall have abundance of wealth. Absolutely, 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 yes. There's no any denying of this. We are entitled to be highly rich, yes. But that's not the point, actually. We can choose to be highly rich people, highly successful people, absolutely. But the most important thing is to make everything inconsequential in the face of abundance of wealth. Everything consequential. When I mean make everything frivolous, what I mean to say is all that comes along with the wealth, that has to be totally subdued, that has to be totally directed most judiciously, I mean, most wisely, in the light of our own awareness, in the light of your own being. If you are swayed away by the wealth and the dazzle and all of that, of course, it will take you into the vicious circle of its own drama, which is trapped within the zone of mind and within the zone of time. Mind is there, time is there. If there's no time, there's no mind. That's as simple as that. So we cannot put ourselves into it. Okay, we'll go down. But wealth is not a problem. Having a massive wealth but detached from it, that is the way. I mean, you are into it, but at the same time, you are totally devoid of it.
Yeah.
Just like a lotus, which grows into the very muddy water. But if you put a drop of water on the petal of a lotus, it won't stay even a second. You see?
Yeah.
So you grow into this world. This world is like that. Maybe the wealth is out there, but you rise above it, my dear friend, and you look so beautiful. People will look at you. People will take photograph of you. Oh, there's a lotus. So you are that lotus. You rise above in this muddy, smooth, filthy water, and grow out of it. Nothing can touch you. But the very experiences of the life goes rooted within this muddy, this slough, filthy water. So you grow within, to grow within. to immerse, rise above the mundane existence of life. That's the only way to get life. I mean, that's the best way you can think of
Yeah.
by this example of a lotus.
Mm. Yeah, that's just beautiful. Like that is incredible. And I I really hope that we can, move toward that in our own lives as listeners, as seekers. We can, you know, with the blessings of our masters, that we can actually move in that direction. And I wanted to take our conversation toward the last piece, Namdevji, which is around understanding how the philosophy and practice of Vihangam Yoga informs all of the things we've talked about. We know that, of course, you are one of the instructors and a guide to many in their journey through Vihangam Yoga as the international head of Vihangam Yoga. And what I want to ask is, you know, we've talked about the light of awareness. We've talked about, learning how to forgive yourself, about transformation, about needing a master, a guide. There's so many things that there which make so much sense, and there are absolutely things we should do, but they become difficult to do without, some kind of way of thinking about these things. And I guess what I wanted to ask is, how has Vihangam Yoga helped, or how does it help a person do these things? What is so unique about Vihangam Yoga that it helps people do this and these things?
Yeah, the Bhinga Yoga is the most scientific method of meditation to unravel the potential that one has. Absolutely. Why? Because actually it addresses it addresses the concern that you have about yourself. It addresses the knot that you have created unknowingly, unconsciously. So it brings the higher vibration of awareness. It brings about that vibration within yourself, upon which the untying the knot happens. Untying the knot happens instantly. So this is the power of Bhingam Yoga meditation. You know, the first stage of Bhingam Yoga meditation, which has to be practiced at least 6 months under the guidance of the master. With the grace of the master, it can happen. So at least you have to dedicate yourself 6 months time, indisputably, uh, indisputably, you know, in an indisputable manner. Like there's no anything in your mind. You know, there's in an indisputable manner. There's nothing in your mind. You see. So if you do it, if you dedicate yourself for about 6 months time and dedicate yourself to practice this meditation every day, morning and the evening, under the guidance of a Sadguru, with seva also, faith in the master, things will start happening in your life. Just dedicate yourself for about 6 months time, but do it religiously every day in the morning and the evening, as it is said to you, and your path will be made for you. You will see. Don't question it. Don't have a lot of questions. Just be an empty vessel, and things will start happening for you. So the meditation of Bhingam Yoga is the unique. It has been into existence since time immemorial, but the blessing that Sadhguru Gafaldev Bhagwan has brought about by his auspicious meditation, caved in meditation for 17 long years, which has simplified, which has made this meditation accessible by his blessing to all of us, to all humanity, to all humanity. So that is the blessing, that is the gift from the master to all of us. We are highly grateful, inundated to that master. So all we have to do is just dedicate ourselves only half an hour every day, 45 minutes every day, morning and the evening, with the sadhana and the rituals. I mean, rituals means the practice of entire package, the practice of the meditation with the Vandana, Arti and Santi part and everything. If you dedicate your life to it, about 45 minutes every day, morning and in the evening, and do some seva, of course your life will transform. And who knows, Sadhguru could choose to to transform you, to to lend you his lead. And if he decides to lend his lead, then you are connected with a thread of divinity, which is reigned by him, which is controlled by him. If that happens, then everything will fall in place. You'll be shown the path in the most unique manner. It may be contrary to your wishes, my dear friend, because he won't give you what you want. He will give you what is the best thing for you. You may not see right now, but you will see. But you have to be receptive to all the changes that may occur, which may not be in alignment with your present thought process. So you have to allow the master to work through you. And if the master decides to work through you, then of course, you are that field of infinite possibility where everything and anything could happen through you.
Yes, yes. And I don't think there's a better place where we can wrap up this conversation than that, with that beautiful ending from Naamdevji. Naamdevji, I just wanted to, on behalf of all the seekers, thank you for your time. And, we're so lucky to have your wisdom on this platform, and, the way you explain things and you cut through, all the prejudices and preconceptions we have is, hopefully something we can continue to benefit from as we, hopefully continue to have more conversations like this with you in the future. So thank you so much, Naamdevji.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm grateful to you. My apologies if there is any mistake in my words, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. Namaskaram, pranam.
No. Ji. So folks, that brings us toward the end of another conversation with Sant Shri Naamdeo Maharaj. This one was, just as exciting, just as, introspective as the last, and I'm sure they will continue to be. Life and death, I came into this, conversation thinking about life and death in a certain way in my own, in my own headspace. And what we've learned today is that, in the simplest way, we need to become a lotus. We need to, understand that, yes, we live in the world, but everything that's happening in the world and everything that's happening to us is a reflection of what we are inside. And we need to be thankful for all the things, all the opportunities we are receiving to transform ourselves, because it's only through that transformation that we start to grow those roots within the world, but still remain untouched, like the petals of a lotus flower, which Naamdevji expressed to us so beautifully. So, what is more sad than, being, full of ego or full of intellectual, thickness, where we think we are always right, or the way we think is correct? What is worse than that? You could argue that that is one of the worst kinds of death, as Naamdevji expressed to us. So what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be aware and to be, to be here but not be here is the question. And Naamdevji, I think, has given us so much to think about in this regard. So I want to, end here on that note, and I hope that all of you, myself included, can move forward on this path of transformation under the guidance of a master. So with that, namaste, take care, and we'll see you again very soon.
सदा फल शांति